I feel like my Mustangs connect with me differently. If you've seen the Avatar movie where they kind of plug into their flying critter,
Mm-hmm.
it's that kind of connection that I think it's unique. And especially for people that gentle the horse, there is a bond. There is a trust that is built that is unlike any domestic horse experience that I know of or have heard people talk about.
There are healers on this planet with the power to soften the suffering of mankind, yet they have remained in the recesses of the world, abused, discarded, and labeled as trash. This is The Touch of a Mustang. I am your host, Shalise Clough, and I'm here to tell the story of wild horses, Mustangs, and the humans who are discovering and sharing their gifts while working to protect their well-being and preserve their spirit so this divine power won't be lost. Join us on this quest with the Wild Mustang.
Let's talk about how you got involved with Mustangs to begin with.
Okay. So I used to show Hunter and Jumper as a teenager, and I have a sister that is a coach in Austin, Texas, still to this day. And a really good friend of hers got her involved in producing horse shows. And this lady invented the Extreme Mustang Makeover format. And she was producing a $1 million event, $1 million in prize money, top prize.
That was for Extreme Mustang Makeover?
It was called Mustang Million.
Okay.
And
I feel like I've heard that.
I used to be an advertising art director, creative director. So she got me involved in producing a campaign for that competition. And the more I looked at the format, and I had a teenage daughter, I'm like, you know what? I think we could get involved with Mustangs. So she and I adopted 2 yearlings that she trained and competed with, and they are now my 12-year-old Mustangs.
Nice.
So I just continued to stay involved with doing marketing and creative and promoting Mustang events. Eventually became director of marketing for another nonprofit. And about 2 years ago, a group of us came back together and created Mustang Champions, where we have a government grant to produce 2 new national competitions, one English discipline and one Western discipline.
And is this your guys' second year? Because it's fairly new.
This will be year 2. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And this is kind of replaced or taken the place of Extreme Mustang Makeovers. Is that correct?
There are other organizations that are producing events. But yeah, our events, because of what we learned from producing events in the past, we've tried to make some improvements, like give people more time to train. Top prize is $50,000. So we're trying, and we hope that people that might not normally engage with a Mustang might come to one of our competitions and see what it is like. I think working with Mustangs are very different than working with other domestic horses. Just trying to put Mustangs in premier venues. Give competitors an opportunity to compete in venues that they might not normally get to compete in. Rolex Stadium at the Kentucky Horse Park and South Point Arena in Las Vegas are very much venues that you will see top competitions, international competitions. Well, those are just things that we've tried to do to do it differently, get more and more people to adopt and compete is absolutely our goal. The events are streamed. We're trying to get Mustangs exposed to as many people as possible, both domestically and internationally, even though international is less important. But just trying to get the word out.
Yeah.
About how great they are and what they are capable of doing.
Yeah. And so is the timeline one of the main things that you changed? That's one thing that I think is really cool, because when I got my Mustang, I would see these trainers for Extreme Mustang Makeover doing really cool stuff with them in, 3 months or less. And I found it really discouraging because that's not how it was going for me with my Mustang. So I thought, I don't know if this is meant for me.
So it was frustrating for me to be a director of marketing and get 150 horses picked up for an event, then only less than 50% show up for competition. So I always felt like that wasn't good for the trainers. It wasn't good for the Mustangs. And some Mustangs are just not going to make quickly, and
Right.
they do need more time. So what we have tried to do is you could first adopt October 1 for our competitions, and you have till April 15 is the adoption deadline. So in some cases, people have almost a year to train to compete. And our English competition is in September.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, what your experience is with your Mustang, happens to
Yeah.
people.
It sounds like it happened for a lot of people who are planning on competing if you have almost a 50% dropout rate.
Yeah. So just trying to, that always hurt me. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
like it.
Yeah.
So that was one of the changes. Yes. We've also required that you compete at another competition before coming to our championship. I never liked seeing first time in arena Mustangs. Sometimes that didn't work out very well. And I also like the idea of people showing Mustangs across the country to expose more people to Mustangs in open events, non-breed event competitions.
Yeah. Is this the first English event with Mustangs? I haven't really heard of any others with them specific to Mustangs.
Right. So the way we did it, yes, there have been in years past people that have tried doing an English event, but having been a person that really liked to jump horses, I've wanted to do it for years. So it was great when we got the funding to be able to produce it. There has never been a competition the same format that we are doing, or certainly for the prize money that we're giving away.
Yeah. And then you have so your background's in marketing and you have some pretty big companies that you've worked for. What's kind of motivated you to leave some of those, I would guess, might be more profitable and kind of stick with the Mustangs and market for them?
Some of it may be my age.
Yeah.
But it is just rewarding to be able to market something that changes lives of both horses and people. It's very, very meaningful. I constantly film little videos of people telling their stories of what a Mustang has done for them in their
Oh,
life.
really? Yeah.
And I just never got that feeling doing creative and marketing for large corporations
Yeah.
in my career. So I'm very passionate about it. It's really not about the money for me. It's just the thrill of being able to do it and
Yeah.
help the government with their situation of too many Mustangs and holding.
Yeah. Is that something that you experience, the Mustangs kind of changing your life, creating some profound experiences for you? Yeah.
So they connect with you differently. We used to get thoroughbreds off the track and train them to jump, kind of retrain them. And they just didn't, I feel like my Mustangs connect with me differently. If you've seen the Avatar movie where they kind of plug into their flying critter,
Mm-hmm.
it's that kind of connection that I think it's unique. And especially for people that gentle the horse, there is a bond. There is a trust that is built that is unlike any domestic horse experience that I know of or have heard people talk about.
Yeah. It is a really unique experience. They definitely seem to connect with you, like you say, in a different way than a lot of other horses that are like, I could take you or leave you. They seem to kind of get attached to you just as attached as a lot of us get to them. What are some of the challenges that you've seen in marketing? It seems like Mustangs kind of do have a big image issue in a lot of circles. They're not always seen as very great horses. They're often seen as difficult, dangerous, or, just kind of trashy mutts that, don't reach what some other breeds are doing. What are some of the things you've seen? What are some of the challenges there? And how can we keep working to change that.
Right. So I think a lot of professionals are very breed specific, and they can't get out of that box, either because they have breeding farms themselves. They need to maintain their image working with specific horse breeds. So I just think that is a image issue for some of the really top trainers. But then we have people like Elisa Wallace, who is a Olympic team alternate. She has always been passionate about Mustangs and their plight. She certainly shows 3-day in international competitions, but she always has some Mustang that is a project for her. And she did win our English competition last year. So she is just a really good ambassador for Mustangs. I think that people don't know how to gentle a Mustang, and it is a learned skill. It is not something that just anybody can do. There are lots of trainers across the United States that can help people get past that initial de-wilding, to then take the horse on as a more common, like a green horse would be. Yes, some people think they're trash horses. They are feral horses, but then they are a symbol of America. So a lot of people hold them in kind of this rarefied air because of the symbol that they are for us. So the outlook on Mustangs is all over the board. And I think the more that we are able to publicize their capability, I mean, they are not expensive.
Yeah.
$125 and you can have a wild horse. But I think as competition horses get more and more expensive, and it's more and more expensive to show horses, that's where our Mustang competitions and getting a Mustang can really be a great solution for people who want to continue to show. And maybe it's not at that A level, but people are definitely using Mustangs to compete. Something I've really been interested in watching lately is how many people are using them to do eventing, because size is not a matter like you have with warm bloods, for example. So I think they really do fit certain competitions better than others, certainly.
Yeah. And so give us a rundown of all the competitions that are kind of under your umbrella. And then maybe we can talk about, like, how does someone get involved? Is this something anyone can do?
Yeah. So we are actually producing 3 competitions currently. We just finished our Mustang Magic Weekend at the Fort Worth Stock Show and Rodeo. Our next competition is the Mustang Challenge. It will be in July at South Point Arena. And then in September at Rolex Stadium at the Kentucky Horse Park, our English discipline competition, which is the Mustang Classic. We also have grant monies where we have produced an education program. And we have 5 educational kiosks that we ship across the country to various events. There's a virtual reality headset experience where you can literally stand with horses in the wild. When we produced the film, they were so curious about the camera in their environment that they would approach the camera. So it feels like you're standing there and they're coming right up to you. So that's been a great program to execute and see the reactions of people as they're to experience that. But there's so much misinformation out there in our world these days that this is our effort of trying to help the BLM, Wild Horse and Burro program, get the facts out there and be able to interface with people and answer questions and share their experience and their knowledge about working with Mustangs and trying to protect our range.
What do you think are some of the biggest pieces of misinformation that's out there about Mustangs?
I mean, even just the numbers. Some people, if you were to go to, I was at a place called Antelope Valley in Nevada, and it's a 20-mile wide valley. And if you were to just go out there, and it's public lands, I mean, any of us can go out on the land, you would think there are no horses. The horses are very good at hiding. So we would take a drone camera in mile 2, mile 3, come over a cliff, and there'd be 200 horses. but just to look out, you would never see them. So just the handling of the horses, the rounding up of horses is helicopter gathers are very controversial for some people.
Yeah.
Some people think it stresses the horses. I've talked to helicopter pilots that have been part of gathers and talked to them about or heard about how careful they are with how they try to work the horses into the corral. So it's a big problem. There's no easy solution. Mustangs need all of us and all of our ideas, whether we're pro or con or
Yeah.
can physically get involved or not. Mustangs do need all of us. They need our attention, and
Yeah.
they need funding to try to be sure that there are enough holding facilities, that they are gathered in appropriate numbers to maintain populations in the various 177 horse management areas in the 10 western United States. It is a big job taking care of our horses.
Yeah. Do you think that there is ever any risk of them becoming extinct, being
No,
wiped off the range?
no, they really enjoy making more Mustangs.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
mares will foal every year as soon as they can, even starting at 2 years old. So I really don't think that there's any chance unless they overpopulate and destroy the range to a point that there's just not enough food on the range,
Mm-hmm.
enough forage. The range does not recover quickly. I've seen test plots, plots that were like 10 years old, and they had, I mean, you compare that to the range that's around the test plot, and they just don't come back very easily, very quickly. So management is a huge issue for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Are there any other topics that you guys really focus on in your education program that's information you really want people to have about the Mustangs?
it's really to encourage people to adopt a Mustang is really what we are about. We do want people to know that the Wild Horse and Burro program exists. The people that are a part of the program are very passionate about what they do. They're certainly not doing it for the money.
Yeah.
That is not the reason they're doing it.
Yeah.
So just really want people to know that the animals are being cared for. There is an issue with overpopulation, and either to adopt or find other people that might be in the have the opportunity to adopt a Mustang. I've had ideas of my sister's show barn is 120 horses, and about 70 of the horses are school horses. And it's like, take on a Mustang as a philanthropy project for your barn. I mean,
Mm.
they are generally the size of ponies, so they can certainly show at a pony level. But yeah, just take one on as a project. It would help.
Yeah.
It would help the numbers overall.
Right. Yeah. So, what advice, I guess, starting at the beginning, would you give someone who maybe has found out about Mustangs, thinking of adopting one? What advice would you give them if they're
Um,
thinking about it?
I would find a trainer that has the ability to gentle the Mustang, or even help get it started as a yearling. Please contact Mustang Champions. Happy to put you in contact with people that we know that could help. Um, that then you just go find your horse. There are holding facilities. There are satellite adoptions. Various cities across the U.S. will they'll bring wild horses that you can go and personally shop for your Mustang, and then load it up and take it to your trainer or to your home to train. There's an online corral. You can go online and see Mustangs that are available and bid on them. The highest bidder uh, gets the Mustang, and then it's shipped. You have options as to where you can have the horse shipped for pickup that might be closer to you than a holding facility. Um, just find someone that has experience with Mustangs and get involved.
Yeah. In your experience, is it the gentling process where a lot of adoptions maybe fail or don't ultimately become successful?
People, yes, it's a very critical stage. The Mustangs need to be worked with enough uh, to where people that are less experienced can continue to work with them and train them. It's a great opportunity for coaches that know how to gentle to continue to work with the Mustang and with the owner to continue to improve and continue to train the horse to a higher level. I really think that partnership is important in order for someone that's less expensive with less experienced with Mustangs to have a good chance in having a good horse in the end.
Yeah. And that's almost the double-edged sword because they are really easy to acquire and pretty cheap, like we've talked about, but they are going to be probably heavy either in paying someone to help you or committing your own time to learning and education. And so
Right.
not cheap in everything, but they
Yeah.
are easy to acquire the first time. Then they take some commitment for sure.
Yes. And for anyone that is skilled at gentling, to take on a Mustang for someone else, I just think is a very rewarding experience for many trainers.
Yeah.
Otherwise, people wouldn't continue to do it and come to our competitions and then rehome their competition Mustangs.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit more about the competition. So, what is the difference between Mustang Magic and then Mustang Classic? Was that the other one?
And
And
challenge.
then the
So
English one is which one?
Mustang Classic.
Okay.
So
There's two other ones.
Mustang Magic has existed for many years. It is the 100 to 120 day format
Okay.
where
So a bit faster training, getting the horses ready.
trainer picks up a horse, has those, as you said, 3 months basically to get the horse ready to compete. And some of the horses it's incredible what they can do after a 3 month period.
Yeah, it really is.
It really is like amazing. Mustang Challenge, our Western competition is preliminary classes, trail, reining, and ranch riding. Excuse me, blinking there for a moment. Those three preliminary classes, high point, you qualify for the top 10, and the finals competition for the $50,000 prize is a freestyle competition. Then our English competition, the preliminary classes are going to be show jumping, dressage, and working equitation, which is something that is growing as an event in the United States. I'm not terribly familiar with it. I've never seen it live until our competition last year. But the three qualifying classes, you compete to be in the top 10 finals, and that will also be a freestyle format, which for a lot of English discipline riders is kind of a new thing. So it allows people to kind of show off what they think they and their Mustang can do best with props and music and costumes. It's fun.
Mm-hmm. And so, if someone wants to get involved, how would they go about this? Say someone who's maybe had some horse experience, new to Mustangs, where would they start, and what recommendations would you have for them?
Come to mustangchampions.org, go to mustangclassic25.com or mustangchallenge2025.com. There is information about how to become eligible, what you need to do. Then there's also ways for you to be able to contact us so that we can help you on your journey.
And do you guys have a lot of resources available to share with people?
So something that we have gathered training information, videos, and written materials and resources, and really pulling those materials from some of the top trainers in the Mustang community. Those resources are available on all of our websites because we definitely want to try to help people and improve training techniques overall.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody has something to learn for sure.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
Mustang community is very good about exchanging information, helping each other, sharing techniques.
Yeah. Is it something you feel like is possible for someone who's just new to it all to get into and have a good experience in going
I
through
think for
this?
someone that has really never ridden before, it is going to be a bit of a hurdle.
Mm-hmm.
I would certainly recommend going and taking lessons and just learning basic riding techniques before getting involved with Mustangs. But if you are someone that has ridden either once upon a time or currently, uh, get a Mustang. I truly, truly believe that it is an experience unlike any other horse.
Yeah. And you talked before a little bit about how the Mustangs kind of need everybody from, there's the advocates to sanctuaries to obviously where people are using them for competitions and maybe even working on ranches and things like that. Do you have any ideas how that gap can kind of be bridged? Because I found um, that people tend to be very heavy one way or the other. And it's a lot of times I think almost look at each other in negative light if they're not helping the Mustangs in the way that they think they should be helped.
Right. Um, there is a lot of video content out there with people that are known colt starters. We just had a gentleman by the name of Ryan Rose, who has quite a YouTube following, and he did compete in our Mustang Magic. So I think it's just the exposure of people doing a little research, seeing what people are doing with Mustangs, casually or competitively. Come to one of our competitions. Come meet people that are competing or people that are there cheering on someone they know that is competing. People are very open about talking about Mustangs, their experience with Mustangs, how they personally feel about Mustang organizations and the government and what is going on. I find it a very open community compared to other Mustang, not Mustang, but horse groups that I was around growing up.
Mm-hmm.
People are just much more open. And through that openness, I think there are more and more solutions that people find or ways to engage Mustangs in what they're doing.
Yeah, I think that is really good advice to go in and, talk to the people who have Mustangs and who are really in the Mustang world. Um, I think a lot of people are maybe seeing stuff online and they don't haven't actually ever had the opportunity to interact with a Mustang. Um, and so I do think that there is some loss there that that we can't be one large community for the betterment of horses, that there are some pretty deep divides in between different parties.
Yep,
Yeah.
I would agree with you.
it's a it's a tricky one. I tend
So,
to get a little bit from both sides because I'm kind of in the middle, I guess. So I have the advocates attacking me for being part of the roundups, and then I have people telling me I'm not supporting the BLM if I bring up, a question about that. So it's interesting.
Yep, yep. And we're just really trying to do our part in helping get horses that are in holding, get them into what we call private care, into homes. And there's, all the Mustangs that we could possibly help. There will be many more. So it is I feel like I have job security for sure.
Yeah.
But as long as we have the abilities and the funding to help get horses adopted, the horses will be there to be adopted.
Yeah. And can you maybe talk some about how important it is for the Mustangs to learn the skills to kind of integrate into our human world? It's kind of a reality that they're here. Um, how important is that they, learn that it's okay to be touched by a human and have some of those valuable skills that do make them something that someone's going to want to invest their time and money and energy into.
Right. I had the opportunity to film and photograph Mustangs at a holding facility. The horses were going to be available on the online corral. So it was just a way of helping get them documented to where people could review them to adopt them. I didn't realize that I was at a correctional facility working with prisoners the entire
Oh,
week.
yeah.
I thought that they were BLM, Wild Horse and Burro staff. So it is even programs like prisons and
Yeah.
rehab, therapy. There's so many things that Mustangs are more intuitive in some ways. So by getting them trained in some capacity to interact with people, they can provide a lot of value in helping people. Uh, I have been a part of a veterans program before where I did one-on-one interviews in a video format, and every single person that was in the program talked about how effective a Mustang was in helping them overcome their issues with PTSD, being able to be more social, not being recluse, and helping them get off drugs that had been prescribed for them to as a therapy. So just a lot of people use them as therapy horses. Not that anyone ever gets on them, but just use them to connect with people in need.
Yeah, that's definitely another avenue where they have a lot of value. I think definitely something that I've seen a lot of really cool programs develop that use specifically Mustangs to do that. Do you ever think that there will be a component of that you could incorporate into Mustang Champions?
Again, we are very dependent at the moment on our government funding.
Mm-hmm.
We could do donations for like a veterans program. We're certainly applying any donation to youth competitions because I think it's very important to get the next generation educated. But there are people that have terrific veterans programs. I
Yeah.
don't think that will be something that we would get involved in because of the special knowledge that is
Yeah.
needed to be able to work with veterans and horses and or Mustangs. But yes, if people have the funds to donate to programs that are making a huge difference, I would highly recommend donating to some of the veteran programs across the U.S.
Yeah. And I guess on that note, what are some other things people can do? Maybe you're not wanting to go out and adopt your own Mustangs. What are some things people can do to still support them and to kind of help them in maybe a way that's not actual horse ownership?
So there are organizations that are working with Mustangs that are, yes, getting them out of holding, but also working with various people in need. And I would just recommend finding those organizations and supporting those organizations. That is a very, just the impact that I have witnessed is tremendous.
Yeah.
And will
And
help people and Mustangs.
yeah. And you said that you've done some where you've kind of had stories that of how Mustangs have helped people. You've done some videos and things like that.
Yeah.
What are some of those experiences that stand out to you the most?
So there was a gentleman who signed up for it was a 6-week veterans program, and he told me that he had been recluse for over 10 years. He
Wow.
knew he was fully armed. He knew exactly the range of his various weapons to protect himself. He rarely left his property, and he very definitely did not interact with other people. And because of what a Mustang demands of you to make any progress in training, it caused him to look at himself differently and communicate differently working with the Mustang that he had adopted. And through that 6-week program, he said that he was able to get back out in society, which
Wow.
doesn't seem like very much time,
No, that's not very long for
but to
someone
have
who's spent 10 years in
feel
seclusion.
that differently about his life and interacting with others was just amazing to me. But I would have these interviews and people just start crying about the impact that they felt their Mustangs were having on their lives.
Yeah. What do you think it is about the Mustang? We've kind of talked about a little bit about the communication aspect, but what is it about the Mustang that you think has this effect on individuals where it really, for some people, is a life-altering experience?
I think because the horses were in the wild and very much about survival and protecting themselves, that they demand a lot in order to make any changes. So it is gentling is a process. It's can be very slow. It is very much on the Mustang's terms as to when and how they are going to connect with you. But again, so many stories about once I gained the trust and respect of the Mustang, then we could really start to make progress in our training and connect to where we were really able to bond and be able to compete at high levels.
Yeah.
It is just that bond, the trust that is built up that is so unique and allows people to work with Mustangs at a very high levels.
Yeah. And in your experience with those stories, is this something that people have to continue, or is it something where you have an encounter with a Mustang and a lot of times that 6-week process alone can alter the path of your life?
Yes, I think in some of the programs, people adopt and then have ownership of the horse. There are then programs that they just go and work with the horses for a period of time. And yes, very consistently, people talk about the impact that the horses have had on their lives. So there are continuing programs. And like I say, you can, I've seen people adopt and then have horse ownership, but then there are programs that are shorter term, but yes, very effective.
Yeah. Going back over to Mustang Champions and the work you guys are doing, what are some of the most impactful things that you've seen happen there, either for people or the horses that have been for good?
So some people do not think that Mustangs have much value, and they don't work with them because they don't think they're going to make much money with them. There was a gentleman who won our Western competition. He was also in the top 10 of our English competition. He won over $80,000 in the period of less than a year.
Yeah.
And then he had his horse for sale at a very high price. So it's stories like that that I think will encourage people to come get involved with Mustangs. The idea that I can, for a trainer, take away 100% of the prize money. Sometimes that's not true with certain breed shows. It's a situation of sharing a percentage of the winnings with an owner. I think the money is hopefully something that will definitely bring people in and then keep them engaged year to year to year.
Yeah. And what is the benefit it offers to the Mustangs that participate in the competitions?
So the Mustangs get to be trained by some of the nation's top colt starters, for one. So these are people that are highly skilled. The horse gets a great start in their life, in their career. Some of the trainers this year like their Mustangs so much they still have not put them up for sale. So I think they get very attached, but it's just the level of training that the Mustangs go through for our competitions because of the experience level of the people who are training and competing with the Mustangs.
Yeah. What are some of the most interesting or noteworthy things that you have seen people be able to accomplish with their horses, and kind of what time frame were these in the 100-day time frame,
So,
and how does that compare to the longer time frames?
so I've been watching Facebook. A lady competed with a horse named Zara at Mustang Classic, and she's now at Wellington competing. Wellington is a series of horse shows that are, some of the best in the horses in the nation, and she's competing with her horse at a pony level, at a more novice level. So it's just fun to watch, and basically it's through watching people on Facebook what they continue to do with their horses after our competitions. There are people who have taken Mustangs and do a lot of Liberty work, even Liberty showcases. There's a gentleman by the name of Bobby Kerr. He is 5-time specialty act of the year for pro rodeo. He got engaged with Mustangs at the Mustang Million. He works with Mustangs, some dogs. I think he now has a pigeon that's a part of his act.
Oh, wow.
But he goes around to rodeos across the country, performing with Mustangs and just showcasing his Mustangs and what he can do with them and how great they are. So that he is probably the most acclaimed Mustang trainer that I'm familiar with.
Yeah, that is really cool. And just the way that certainly has to spread the image of the Mustang, that they can do some really cool stuff.
Yes.
Have you found, kind of coming from a background in the show world, are there barriers to Mustangs being able to participate in non-Mustang specific competitions?
I mean, I would say where you're in competitions against warm bloods, you're always going to be at a disadvantage. If it's a breed specific show, you're obviously not going to have the opportunity to show a Mustang. But at lower levels of competition, I think you're going to find a lot of opportunity to show a Mustang amongst other horses that are competing. There is another lady that had extreme success with her Mustang. Her name is Marcia Hartford Sapp. She had a Mustang named Cobra, and he did not do extremely well in his initial Mustang competition. And she continued to work with him and show him Western dressage. And he ended up being the USEF Horse of the Year 3-4 years ago. So that's an example of a horse that really didn't do very well, but with continued training, became a champion.
Yeah,
And
that's a cool story.
a Breyer horse.
Yeah.
So that's another great story.
Yeah, that is a really good story. How do you think that extra time, do you think we're going to see more of that with competitions like Mustang Champions that allow that extra time to maybe give a little more room for development and growth with that relationship?
There are some new organizations, as well as existing organizations, that are now providing people more time to train before the competition. So I think we have made a difference there in that regard. I do think that there is more and more conversation that I'm seeing about open shows. So people that do own a Mustang, just venues and competitions in which people can continue to showcase their Mustangs through
It
competition.
doesn't necessarily have the time frame from gentling to the competition.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you can definitely go, purchase a Mustang that someone has trained and competed with. A lot of people that's their skill, and they don't have a big enough barn to keep all the Mustangs that they ever train. So there are definitely Mustangs and community Facebook pages, etc., where Mustangs are always up for purchase.
Yeah. Is that probably the best way to find those, or how are the best way to find maybe a well-trained Mustang for someone who would like one but doesn't necessarily want to start right at the beginning and have all that time and energy?
I would highly recommend one of the horses coming through our competitions. Um, they are really off to a great start because of the skills of the competitors. that have
And
been.
I guess talk a little bit about that. Do you guys do an auction afterwards? I feel like that's what they used to do. Is that still the case, or how would someone go about? Maybe you see a horse in the competition, you want it. How do you get that horse?
Yeah, so we are not having any auctions in either one of our either Mustang Challenge or Mustang Classic, but we are certainly happy to put people in contact with the competitor or owner of those horses
Yeah.
to start the conversation of being able to purchase the horse.
And
Yeah,
definitely a good place to find some good trainers, I would think. Maybe you don't get that horse, but might be an option for future ones as well.
right. And I do think this year that we will be more public with listing for those who are interested in selling their horses, being able to post some information on our websites so that people can make that connection to purchase.
Yeah. Well, as we kind of wrap up, is there anything else you would want people to know about Mustangs, or whether it's, someone looking to buy one or just someone interested in them?
I am a absolute advocate for Mustangs, what they can do. We have a issue in America with a number of wild horses that exist on our public lands. We need to support government agencies that are doing their best to maintain the range, to maintain Mustang populations, in handling Mustangs to get them to where they can be put in sanctuaries across the U.S. or be adopted and placed into private care. Um, there's a lot of effort being put into all aspects of the Mustang situation in America, and I think we need to all support each other in what we're doing to try to help the animals that we're also passionate about.
Yeah. What are some of the advantages that Mustangs who are able to make it into a successful private home have?
Uh, from speaking from personal experience, my Mustangs are very easy to keep. I think it's because of the inbreeding. They don't have some of the physical and sometimes medical issues that other more purely bred horses have. Uh, I have a mare that has a club hoof, and actually, as a yearling, she probably should not have been put up for adoption. But she has maybe been lame for a short period of time, once or twice
Wow.
in 12 years. My sister is shocked that she is not permanently lame at this point, but and she loves to jump. So it's like I think they're very resilient
Yeah.
compared to some other horse breeds. Not that
Yeah.
Mustangs are a breed, but
Yeah.
I
Right.
do think that they're very, very resilient.
Yeah. And very adaptable, I think, to their environment, even though it may take some time. I think once they do adapt, they make really beautiful additions to life on this earth.
The other thing that I think is interesting about Mustangs, depending on where they have been gathered, they will have different characteristics. So, like some horses may have more draft in them, some may have more thoroughbred or Morgan. It's kind of whatever got turned out in that region. The herds take on certain characteristics. So, depending on what you might want to do with a Mustang, you might look to different herd management areas for horses that are more or less appropriate for the job that you want to be accomplished by a Mustang.
Yeah. And I think that is one thing that's really neat about them is there is a lot of variability. So um, there is that option to maybe go look at what specifics you're wanting and find a horse that might fit that well.
Yes.
What can people do to become involved with you guys, to support you guys, to go to the shows, participate?
Please come to our websites. Uh, if you make a donation, I will tell you that it's being put towards youth competitions. That is not something that we have currently funding for, but we are firm believers in. Yes, come compete. Yes, come to one of our competitions, meet people, talk to people, cheer for your favorite Mustang, and then watch for our education program. It might be at an event. Generally, they do go to equine oriented, like rodeos or horse shows or expos. put on a VR headset and see what it's like to stand with a horse in the wild. So just in any way you can, or anytime you hear of a Mustang event, go check it out. Go see a satellite adoption in your area and see the horses that are wild and watch them being handled as they're put up for adoption.
Yeah. Do you think this will be something that will be able to become self-sustaining, to where it's kind of the events can support themselves regardless of maybe funding you're able to secure?
I do think as Mustangs become more and more popular and the numbers increase as far as people competing, we could, like any horse show, through sponsors, through entry fees, that we will be able to grow this without additional funding.
Nice. Yeah.
It is possible.
Yeah. And so you own 2 Mustangs?
I do.
How have they changed your life? And I guess becoming involved in the world of Mustang, how has that impacted your life?
So I go down to feed and check on my Mustangs 3 times a day. When I used to show horses, there were groomsmen or people that were at the barn that took care of the horses. So I was never as intimately involved in the care and handling of horses as I am now with my Mustangs. And more times than not, when they hear us approaching, they neigh to say good morning. They are very happy to see you, mostly because they're about to be fed.
Yeah.
But they're large dogs. They're like big dogs. And I had never felt that way about horses before until I had Mustangs and cared for them myself.
Yeah. I always think that's one of the most amazing things, that it's like, for some reason, they like hanging out. Like, they like spending time with you. Mine, at least, will, they'll come find me when they're out at pasture. And that to me is just something that's really incredible, that for some reason they like interacting with humans as much as we probably like interacting with them.
Yeah. Well, and I think in some cases, I would like to think that the Mustangs are very thankful, because they had to work very hard for food and water. And to be just cared for, I think they know the difference.
Yeah. I agree with that. I do think that they come to appreciate very much that they know you're going to show up every morning with some hay for them, and there's always going to be water in their trough for them. Awesome. Is there anything else you want to share before we close?
Thank you for this opportunity to talk to you. Thank you for what you're doing, presenting all sides of the story, and really being a resource for people to find out more about Mustangs.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the work that you're doing is great to really bring awareness to competitions. I know when I got my first Mustang, a lot of what you saw was the trainers that were doing the Extreme Mustang Makeover, and you were able to see the incredible things that can be accomplished with Mustangs. And so to broaden that and hopefully bring Mustangs to more people and have more people who love horses get involved specifically with Mustangs, of which there are very many that would highly benefit from, a private home or specific care. I really commend you for bringing attention to the Mustangs, because I know, having them in my life, I've seen how incredible they are, and something that I certainly would encourage anyone to take a chance to have interactions with a Mustang if they can. And so I appreciate you for sure bringing that opportunity to, whether it's being able to go to the competitions and see, or participate in the competitions, or to just participate in, the virtual reality and the education, and learning more about Mustangs and what we can do to kind of help them and promote them and keep them here with us in this life. So thank you for everything that you do as well.
Absolutely. It's an honor.
Yeah. I think that is very true, that if you get the chance to be involved with Mustangs, it really is a really incredible privilege in any capacity.
Thank you for joining us and learning about horses that heal and the humans who help them. We hope you'll continue with us on this journey. We'd love for you to subscribe on your favorite platform and follow The Touch of a Mustang on any of the major social media outlets. Please share with your friends, anyone who loves horses, or anyone who might be struggling and could benefit from this message. If you have felt the healing power of horses or help them in their divinely appointed mission, please reach out. We want to hear your story. As we say goodbye, always remember that the horse is always there to help you heal.